Hello, and welcome to Your Money 2.0. I'm Thomas Fox, Community Outreach Director of Cambridge Credit Counseling. "It's the economy, stupid" was a widely used rallying cry in Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign against George H.W. Bush. The phrase, made popular by Clinton campaign strategist James Carville, refers to the notion that Clinton was a better choice because Mr. Bush had not adequately addressed economic issues while the country slid into a mild recession. Before anyone calls out "like father, like son," we should ask ourselves how much we should look to policymakers to change the course of the economy. For that matter, can we look to anyone for economic salvation? For all intents and purposes, economic activity begins and ends with consumers. 2/3 of economic activity is based on the purchases you and I make, and we are uncomfortable or lack confidence, the entire financial system suffers. The so-called Great Recession began in December 2007. A recession is a period of falling economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in real gross domestic product or GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, a nonprofit group that determines when recessions begin and end, the Great Recession ended in June 2009, making it the longest downturn since World War II. The organization cautioned that its findings bear no relation to the current state of the economy, nor do they represent a financial forecast. If our economy were to experience another downturn, it would simply constitute a separate recession. So the Great Recession is over, but for many reasons it just doesn't feel like it. Although the U.S. economy expanded at a sharp 5% pace in the final 3 months of 2009, growth slowed to 3.7% in the first quarter and to just 1.6% in the second quarter, prompting new concerns about another downturn. Needless to say, those kinds of headlines don't do much for consumer confidence. During the recession, a number of proposals have been made to spur economic growth, and on the surface, many seem reasonable. However, on closer examination, none of these ideas by themselves would solve our problems, and some would probably have very little effect. For instance, some people are in favor of a 1-year payroll tax holiday. Although this would certainly put more money in the hands of consumers and amount to significant savings for employers, it may not be the best solution. Consumers who are already contending with large amounts of credit card debt and an unsure housing market are likely to pay down that debt or to use any extra money to build savings. In the same way, a payroll tax moratorium would probably encourage many businesses to continue to build up their cash reserves simply because they know that consumers are reluctant to spend right now. American companies are currently holding on to $18.7 trillion in cash and liquid assets, believing that there is no sound investments to be made, even in their own operations. Again, if consumers aren't spending, businesses have no reason to expand. Sluggish consumer spending is also a factor preventing enthusiasm for a separate proposal that would allow for a corporate tax-free reparation. Many U.S. firms keep large amounts of cash in their overseas divisions. The idea would be to provide a 1-year tax holiday to bring those funds back to the U.S. However, because of the economic climate, businesses would likely hold on to these funds. That is, if they would even consider moving their holdings back home. Our country's economic health is primarily derived from the actions of consumers. When we spend and save responsibly, the nation experiences prosperity. But when we spend or save too much, the system suffers. Perhaps we're all a little sick right now and anxious to know when our symptoms will subside. With that in mind, what remedies would you recommend to help restore our economic health? How can we get consumers and businesses to spend again, and hire again, and lend again? How would you fix the economy? As always, we welcome your ideas, which you can email to us at yourmoney2@cambridgecredit.org. Well, that's it for this edition. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Thomas Fox for Cambridge Credit Counseling.